My name is Diana Morganti. I am the Math, Computer Science, and CIS librarian here at Texas State University. My main gig is helping people who are math, computer science, or CIS folks do their research more effectively and more efficiently. And RefWorks is one tool that can really help you do that. And so I'm going to do hopefully fairly in-depth show and tell of RefWorks. It's a pretty easy tool to use, though, if you're familiar with online interfaces. So it's still not going to take very long. It'll be maybe 20 to 30 minutes. And then for the folks joining me live, we'll have some time for questions after that. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Here on the library's website, we always have RefWorks and EndNote right now. On the front page, you can see in this small blue box, so this is just library.txstate.edu, and RefWorks is right here, so we can click there, and we have a guide to the various citation management tools that are out there. So roughly, a citation management tool, which is what RefWorks is anything that allows you to manage your citations. The most popular or common ones are RefWorks, EndNote, Mendeley, and Zotero. So those are the top 4 that are out there. The one I'll be showing you today is RefWorks. And you just click on RefWorks here, and we have a link to it right here in the top box. There's some more information on here you can go over a little bit later if you want to learn more. But if we just click on RefWorks here, we're going to get started. When you're brand new to RefWorks, you're going to start by just clicking on Create Account. And you'll go through the steps to, oops, I'm actually logged in. You're going to go through the steps to create an account there. And you're going to use your txstate.edu email address when you create your account. You're going to get, just like any other web service, you're going to get an email at your Texas State email address. And you'll have to click verify. When you do that, then you can go into RefWorks. And so sometimes it takes maybe 5 minutes to get that email to you, but it's fairly quick. We usually, when we have workshops in person, we do it live. You know, I walk over and I make sure everybody got their email. We click on it and we can kind of walk through it together. So it's fairly fast. Once you've got it and you set up your account, you're ready to get started. So I'm going to show you how to get information into RefWorks, but first I want to give you kind of a tour of RefWorks. And so I already had my account set up, so I've got all my sign-in information here, and this is what you'll do, every time you come back, you'll just sign in with the email address here at Texas State and the password that you set up that first time. So it's loading my RefWorks library right now, and its default screen is just all the citations that I have in RefWorks. And this is what it's going to look like when you log in. But let me just give you a rough tour of the interface here. So up along the top, this is one place where you can add references. I'm going to show you much better places to add references. So I'm going to show you how to use this kind of towards the end, but there's a much better place to add references. When you have a reference that you want to assign to a project or a folder, you would click it and click Assign Folder. So this is how you can put references into various folders. And over here on the left, we have this little caret here, and I can view all of the folders that I have. So these folders could be based on projects, they could be based on interests, or they could be based on papers that you're writing in school. So you can have all your papers for data management class all in one folder, or you can have a paper for, a folder for your library instruction paper and a folder for your environmental scan paper, etc. You can choose how that makes sense for you. But if folders aren't kind of how you think, how your brain organizes things, there's also the ability to use tags. So if you'd rather use a tagging methodology for organizing your work, you can do that as well. You can share references and you can share entire folders with this share button here. It's only with people here at the institution. Just so you know, it's anybody else with a txstate.edu account. And then create bibliography is something I'm going to show in a little bit more in depth later. But just so you know what the button does, you can select multiple things and click Create Bibliography to create a bibliography in your selected style. So up here on the top, you can see that I have Chicago chosen. They have hundreds of styles. You can just search for one here. It'll always show you the most recent styles you've used here. So if I wanted APA, which is certainly very common, or IEEE, as I mentioned, I work with computer science, and so if they were using IEEE style, it would organize it that way for me. So let me go back. And that's create bibliography. There's also a quick cite, and you can customize the citation style. So if you're writing for a journal that says they use Chicago style, but they order their citations in order that it's in the paper, or if there's some other way that the citation style is just a little bit changed for a particular project or publication that you're doing, you can actually edit that here. Delete makes sense. You don't need to explain what that means. I already talked about tagging. And then, of course, you can search your library here by title. It'll search all the metadata fields there. And tools, I'm going to go over at the end, so I'm not going to show that yet. So let's talk about getting things into RefWorks. So I'm going to go to the library's website here, just library.txstate.edu, or from any Texas State homepage, you can click on library there at the top. And I'm going to show you how to get journals into RefWorks from a few different database platforms. We have hundreds of databases here at the library, but a lot of them share a couple of different platforms. So once you learn one, you can know how to do it in maybe 50 other databases. So the first one I'm going to show you, though, is our main research portal, which is our Start Your Research portal here. This is run by EBSCO, and a lot of our databases, dozens of our databases, are built on the EBSCO platform. So the skills that you see here are repeatable in many of our different databases. So we're going to do a search for pernicious anemia. Doing a little bit of research on that. We can hit go. And we'll pull up a list of books, articles, etc. Remember, when you Start Your Research, you're searching everything the library owns. I mean, movies, music, and everything. So I might go over here on the left and use some of my research tricks to make sure I'm only looking at academic journals that are peer-reviewed, etc. But once I have an item that I'm ready to get into RefWorks, I can get it into RefWorks a couple of different ways. I can add it to a folder and just keep adding more research to a folder and then export an entire folder, or I can do it one at a time. And so that's the button we're looking for. Over here on the right is the export button. And because we're kind of a RefWorks house, RefWorks is our main citation management tool, that's always going to be the default. So I clicked export over here on the right. I'll make my screen a little bit bigger for you. I clicked export over here on the right, and direct export to RefWorks is by default the chosen option here. So when I click save, it automatically opens up. The very first time, it's going to ask you which version of RefWorks you'd like to export to. This is an older version of RefWorks that some people still use, but if you're new to RefWorks, you want to use the new version. You can click on Don't Ask Me This Again. I don't ever click that because I do a lot of these workshops, and I want to make sure that people are seeing what in the workshop, what they'll be seeing when they get back to work. So I'm going to click on the new RefWorks here. It says import complete. We've saved one document in your library. And when I click on OK, it's going to show me this is my last imported folder. So this is showing me the work that I just imported, and it's showing me something I imported yesterday. So this will stay here. This is going to keep populating until I clear last imported up here at the top. So this is just, it's going to pile up here, and then these are just things you haven't figured out what to do with. Once you figure out what to do with them, whether that is tagging or putting them in folders, once you figure that out, then you'd want to clear your last imported. So if I want to add this to my folder on B12 deficiency research that I'm doing, I'll come down here and I've got my folder here, medical, B12, etc. So I can click assign to folder. and medical B12 and apply. And now that's in my folder. I can be assured that it's in that folder because it's listed right here along with any tags. So if you're more of a tagger, it's automatically pulling in tags from the metadata of the article. If you wanted to add more tags, you can click that right here. So this has all the tags in my system, or I can add new tags. So if I wanted to add B12, create a tag, and save. So that would be added. That's one of many now. So if you wanted to view the whole, all the details of an article that you have in your RefWorks account, you just click on it once, and it pulls it up over here on the right. So this is all the metadata that's pulled in. So that's all the information about the article that we've imported. That's all metadata means, information about the article. So we can scroll down and see it's got everything that's going to go in a citation plus more. So there's always a link right here, URL, that will get us back to the article. So if I click on that, it's going to take me right back to view the full text. A really common question people ask is, does it automatically pull in the PDF? The answer to that is no, because the publishers don't allow it. So that there is no tool that does that. However, you can put a PDF in there if you like. And I'll show you how to do that a little bit later. The abstract is brought in as well. And anything that's in here is searchable using this search feature. If there was something in here you needed to edit, there's a couple common mistakes in here. One common mistake is that they might include an author's email address in the name field. You can click that. So let me show you what I did. I clicked that pencil button right there. That's to edit. And then click in anything you want to edit, and you can edit it right there. Okay. So now I'm back in Start Your Research. This is the list of articles that came up under the search that I did. I could just add these, like I said, to various folders. So I'm adding a few of these to a folder. There we go, add the folder. Okay, so now I should have two things in my folder. By the way, the folder is a temporary thing. Think of it like a shopping cart on a shopping website. If you want to save your folders, just like if you wanted to save a shopping cart, you would need to be signed into your account. So up here on the top, you can see sign in. Otherwise, it's just a temporary thing, and it's going to clear out after a while. But I'm going to go ahead and export these, so I'm not worried about signing in. I clicked up here to select them all, and here I can click export and export them kind of in bulk, as many as I have in the folder, to RefWorks. And you can see, just like before, direct export to RefWorks is chosen by default. And here I can clear the folder after doing that if I like. And export to the new RefWorks. And so here are the two new articles that I just exported. And so if I want to select those, I usually like to put things in folders right away just so I don't forget. So I'm going to pull them over into my B12 folder. And here I've got this confirmation. 2 documents have been added to the folder. So if I like, I could go ahead and clear this last imported folder. So it's nice and clean for my next research session. All right. So that's how to get things from the Start Your Research. That's that big blue box right here. Like I said, that's an EBSCO platform, and dozens of the research databases that we have are built on the EBSCO platform. So if you go into PsycInfo or ERIC or Education Source, all of those use EBSCO as well. So I'm going to show you a couple of more platforms because some of them use different terms. So I'm going to go to JSTOR, which is a common one for maybe more general research. And in JSTOR, if we were going to search for pernicious anemia, on JSTOR, what you would choose is cite this item. The first thing they give you are a few sample citations that you can just copy and paste. And towards the bottom is the export to reference. Export to RefWorks button. So here, I'll just click Export to RefWorks, and exactly like before, you can see everything works just exactly the same. The only difference in going from JSTOR is that they use a different term for the button. Their button says cite this item instead of export. So I'm going to go back. And another one I wanted to show you is ProQuest. So ProQuest, just like EBSCO, again, this is under research databases. Just like EBSCO, ProQuest is also a platform that we have dozens of databases that are built on that platform. So I'm just going to scroll down and find ProQuest. Here we go, ProQuest databases. And so if I search here, and so once I find something I like here, again, I can use the add to folder function like I did before, and it's going to work exactly the same as it did in Start Your Research, where it'll be a temporary folder. If I want to make it permanent, I need to create an account with this platform. Or I can just temporarily store things in a folder and then export them to RefWorks. What I don't like about that, by the way, it's a very commonly asked question or frequently asked question that people have been storing things in a folder for a couple of days and then they lost it because they didn't realize that they needed to create an account for a folder to stay over the course of a few days. So I like to do things right away as I find it. So on this one, I'll tell you, I don't remember off the top of my head whether I click Cite or Save. I'm going to try Save. Yes. Okay. So when we click on Save, you can see RefWorks is the top one. Just try the buttons. If it was, first I thought maybe it was Cite. When I clicked that, it didn't happen. All we have is the actual citation. Although this is powered by RefWorks, I didn't know that before. But once I click Save, there it is. Export or save to RefWorks. Oh, okay. So here they give you the option of what to export. So that's nice. And here we go. This is the same thing we saw a moment ago. All right. And so last time I didn't do anything when we came from JSTOR, I didn't do anything with that reference. So it's still here in my last imported, which is fine. I'll just let these pile up. So you might want to add books to your RefWorks account as well. So you might be using an entire book as a reference or a chapter in a book, or you might just keep a to be read list in RefWorks, which is a good use of RefWorks as well. So if you are looking for books, by the way, this is just the library catalog that I pulled up. So if we've got a particular book that we found that looks like it'll be helpful, we actually have an Add to RefWorks button on the catalog page. So if you look over here on the right, Add to RefWorks is this button right here. If I wanted to actually get the book, I could click Request a Hold there. And this one's actually out at Round Rock. So if I wanted to have it brought here to San Marcos, I would click on this Request a Hold and they would send it up over here for me, by the way. All right, so you don't have to just deal with books and articles. You can add anything into RefWorks. In fact, I don't know if you noticed, the thing that was in the last imported when we first got here was a census website that I had. So you can also add something that's called a Bookmarklet to your Bookmarks bar so that you can add any website to RefWorks. So it is important that you have your Bookmarks bar showing. So I'm just going to choose in my browser options to show my Bookmarks bar. And you will see how messy my bookmarks are, and that's perfectly fine. That means I work a lot. All right. So if we click on Tools here, this is where you're going to find this. So if you go to Tools, and the very first tool listed is the Bookmarklet. So this is how you can save references from the web automatically. So if you just click Install Save to RefWorks, what you have is just a little button right here that you drag up to your bookmarks bar. And I actually already have it installed. It's right here, right in the middle. So you just drag it up. You click it and drag it up. And when you're on a website, so if we go to census.gov, if we found some data, we would want to go to the specific website that we're using in our research, of course, not just the general census site. And you click on Save to RefWorks. You're going to have RefWorks pop up in this little pop-up bar on the right. And here, it's never quite as good with websites as it is with journals and books at figuring out who the authors are, what the name of a website is, etc. So you're going to want to actually fill this out as much as possible. So publish date, if that's available, is usually at the bottom of a website. That's becoming less and less common these days since websites are more constantly updated. So just make sure date retrieved is filled in. This is actually pretty good. If I organized my work by tags, I could fill in some tags, but I'll leave this as is, and I'll hit Save to RefWorks, and I can either just close this sidebar or click View in RefWorks, and it opens up my RefWorks in a new tab, and here you go. You can see the Census Bureau website is listed on top. So you can save really any type of resource that way. However, maybe you have a paper article in front of you, something that you don't have access to online that you would like to add. And that might be a use case here for the Add button. And here you can create a new reference manually. So if we click on that, you choose whatever type of reference you have in front of you. So if you're adding, let's see, a report, type in the title, authors, etc. You can even attach it here. And don't worry, I'm going to show you in just a moment how to attach a PDF of an article to RefWorks and any information that you have there. And once you click on Save, it's going to be added here to your last imported. And just like any of these that you have, it's time to go ahead and assign them to folders, give them some tags, however you plan on organizing your citations. All right, so PDF files. This is, I think, what a lot of people like to know. How do I make sure that I have my PDFs right here? I always say it's not quite necessary to always have your PDFs there because you always have the links. So if I'm looking at this item that I just imported, the URL is right here. So I always have a link back to the article. So it's really easy to click and view it right there. In fact, it's probably faster that way than actually downloading a PDF that I have in RefWorks, but let me show you how to put a PDF in there because I know a lot of people really like to have them all in one place. So when I click on Save as PDF, it's going to get that download going. And here I have it at the bottom. And I'm going to pull up my RefWorks item right here. So this is the article. I just clicked on the URL to pull it up. And when I clicked on download, here it is on my downloads bar at the bottom. Over here, I'm going to click the pencil, and I'm just going to drag and drop the PDF over here. And you can see as soon as I drag, it says drop file here. Once I drop it, it is now uploading. Here it is right here in the middle, attachments. It says it's uploading. And I'm going to hit save. You can see over here in the record now, there's a change. I now have this little paper icon that wasn't there before. And so you can see on the references that are right below it, there's no paper icon. Right here, I have this paper icon showing me that the PDF is attached. So that's how you add PDFs, and that's how you know there's a PDF. And so now it has added the PDF. So over here on the right now, you can see that there is this read button. And when you open up a PDF, there is a great benefit to having PDFs in RefWorks in that you and anybody else that you have can do some kind of joint highlighting and commenting. So I can say a comment, and anybody you've shared this with is going to be able to see the comments you had. So we should quote this part in our paper. So that is a great benefit to having a PDF in RefWorks if you're going to be collaborating with folks on it. Now you can actually, if you have PDFs already on your computer, so this happens sometimes. So I'm going to go to the library's website. I'm just going to download a paper. If you already have a PDF on your computer, you can just upload it up to RefWorks and it'll automatically detect the metadata in there and create the record for you. So that's another way to get items in there. So I'm going to download a PDF article that I haven't downloaded yet before. I will say it's not always as good at analyzing metadata this way, but it's getting really good. It's getting a lot better. So if I click on PDF full text, and then I'm going to click on the download button right here. Save, here we go, right there. So it's going down to my downloads bar. And now I can go into RefWorks, and if I click add, I can click upload document. It also notes to you though, you can also just drag files directly into RefWorks. So I could find it on my desktop or in my download bar, or I can find it on my desktop or my download folder, or I can just drag and drop. And so you can see as soon as I started dragging, it says drop files here. And there we go. And it automatically says, so this is the file name that EBSCO had given it, content server. And here we go. And it's always a good idea to double check everything on here. So it looks like it's pretty good, actually. It's got Gale Publication of Medicine. For some reason, it's listing a patent number, and I'm not even sure what this number is. So I might want to go and see what that is and correct it. But some of this other information looks pretty good. I'd still want to verify it before I cite it in my paper, but it's done a pretty great job. We can click on View to view that PDF. We've talked about organizing. We've talked about, I covered sharing. Let me show you what that looks like. When you have a few items that you want to share, or if you have a whole folder you want to share, you can select all. When we click share, we can either do the share the folder or just export some of the references. So here I'm viewing a group of articles in a folder called the Math History class. This is actually a brand new feature I hadn't seen before. You can create a public URL, so that's nice. I'm sure it wouldn't allow folks to view PDFs, but that's a great feature to be able to share all your citations with a public URL. But here is where you would share with people in Texas State. So as I mentioned a couple of times already, you always want to double check your citations. You can do that according to whatever citation style you have, but let me show you kind of a trick. Down here on the bottom right of any view, you have, by default, it's called the normal view, but if you click on it, you can view the citation view. You'll want to choose your citation style. So if we want to choose APA 6th edition, and hit save. Now it's showing me each of my items what the citation is going to look like, and it's giving me these question marks where there's information missing. And so that may or may not be important to the citation style that I'm using, but it's a little bit of a red flag, which is nice. So it's something that can help you verify your citations. So here, all of these are missing DOI. These are all older items before DOI was kind of a major thing. So even though APA prefers DOI, it's not a mandatory field because not everything has a DOI. So that's perfectly fine if that's missing. I might want to check and see if I can find editors for these two items. They may or may not exist. Actually, I know they don't because these are historical items. So that's a great way to check your citations. So before we end, I also wanted to show you over in Tools a couple of other features. I think the biggest benefit of RefWorks is its integration with Microsoft Word and Google Docs. And you'll find those integrations available in Tools. So by the way, there's also bulk edit. So if you wanted to, by bulk, edit a lot of things, change it from L. Euler to Leonard Euler, etc., you can do that. But I'm going to click on Tools. I want to show you where to find that information, and then I'm going to show you what it looks like. I'm going to show you Microsoft Word. It's got a lot more features in Word than in Google Docs. But here's where we can find them. Again, I saw that just over here in Tools. So if you click on Tools and Tools again, that top one is that Install Save to RefWorks Bookmarklet bar, where I can click on that and save any website into RefWorks. But if you scroll down, that's where you'll find the Cite in Microsoft Word tool and the Cite in Google Docs add-on. So you would just click and download just like any other piece of software, but I have Microsoft Word open so you can see what that looks like. So over here, I've got our lorem ipsum text here. And I have RefWorks integrated already. I already have that tool downloaded for Microsoft Word. So as I'm typing a sentence, and I'm going to quote Euler here. So if I go into RefWorks, I can insert a citation. These are all the citations that I've used in other papers recently. If the one I want is not listed here, I'm going to click Insert New. And here are all my RefWorks folders. So I'm going to find I can either search here or I can look in folders, but I'm going to search for Euler. And here are all of the items that I have that have the word Euler in them. And this is the particular item I wanted to cite. So I'm going to click here. And here I have my citation. And then if I go to the end of my paper and I click on Bibliography options and Insert Bibliography, it automatically inserts the bibliography for me. And now if I come back over here, and so I know this is very small text, you can't quite see what it is, but I wanted you to see that it inserted my in-text citation. And then over here, it inserted the reference under references. And actually, I'll come down here at the end, kind of in the middle here, so that I can insert another citation. And you can see that it inserted the in-text citation and automatically now inserted the reference down here in my references list. And if you're using a style that orders things by the order they appear in a paper, it's gonna, and IEEE is one of those styles, it's gonna automatically update. So if I inserted something between these two citations, so up here, if I click Insert Citation and insert another one, you can see it inserted it right into the middle here. So that is a fabulous feature that I love. I just finished a paper for a journal, and I was so happy to be able to use RefWorks to organize my citations and make sure that everything was done really well. Let me show you where to get more information. So over here in RefWorks, up here on the top right, just exactly where you expect it, is the Get Help button. They've got a Knowledge Center, and their video tutorials are fabulous. Anytime I get a question about RefWorks that I don't know how to answer, I always go to their YouTube site because they have short little 1, 2, 3-minute videos on a variety of skills. And so you can see that here. They actually have them in a variety of languages as well. If they have tons and tons of videos, so if you're having trouble finding what you need, just search in there. You can just search New RefWorks and then whatever skill you're looking for. So if you're looking for RefWorks Word, you can click on that. Oh, here we go. Here's the search bar here. And so now you can see installing Citation Manager for Word and how to use it, etc. So I love their YouTube page. They also have a Knowledge Center and a place to contact support. And then you're also always welcome to come to the library and ask us. We have a lot of people who use RefWorks. I answer a lot of RefWorks questions myself. On the library's website, right here in our navigation bar, we have Ask a Librarian. And when you click on that, you can ask us any question you need. You can do a quick chat or send us an email or even request a consultation if you're needing a little bit more in-depth help.